Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Ellie Lee.
And I'm Morley.
And today we are joined by mystical therapist, psychic healer, spiritual leader, the one and only Rachel Fiori.
Hello, everybody.
Rachel, me and Dan, you're always kids in a candy store every time you come on as a guest. Thank you for being here on our show. Today, I really wanted to tackle with you how to bring spirituality into everyday life, because you recently did the whole Spartan Race, and there was a lot of things that you use, that you teach while you were doing that race. And so I really wanted to discuss and have a whole conversation about that, because I think that's important for all of us to know, how do we use these tools in our everyday life?
Yeah, spirituality is actually very practical when you're using it in the way that it's meant to be used, right? So I did a Spartan race. It was my first one. It was so fun. I had such a good time doing it. But, so I'll say a couple of things first, that fear came up. Fear came up because I have a torn knee. I have a torn meniscus. And so I'm limited in what I can do. And it's also very dangerous for me to do certain things because I can tear my knee more. And I'm not having surgery. I had surgery like 12 years ago. I'm not doing that again. So one of the challenges is that in certain events, and I didn't train for the events, I just work out really hard at the gym, my partner and we were just going to try this just for fun. And so my biggest fear, I noticed as I could see an obstacle, there are 20 obstacles to get through, right? And I could see the obstacle coming up, and I would notice if it was something like the rope climb, or where you have to swing ring to ring to ring and then jump down. Like, I started to get fear because I was so afraid. I'm not afraid of falling, but I'm afraid of falling because I'm afraid I'll fall and land the wrong way and tear my knee. And I'm done. Like I can't not work. I can't take off work. Like, there's all these things that come up. Those are mental programs. So I would notice that as I saw one of these that I could really get hurt on if I fall, I started to get afraid. And here comes the fear. And I'm in the middle of running a Spartan race. But when you master the work that we teach in our coaching programs and everything we teach you at Masters of Self University, you get to a point where, oh my God, look at that. I'm in the middle of running this race and I have fear. I just would take a deep breath and I dropped completely into my heart, and I just grew my light. I grew that unconditional love, that divine connection that I am. And I just allowed the fear to completely process. That's it. And then every single obstacle I went on, like I said, I didn't train for this. Like, I don't know how to jump on rings and fly across and not fall. I don't have any idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to do a rope climb. I watched a YouTube video before the Spartan race to know how to do a rope climb with the little wrap of your foot. I'm like, thank you, YouTube. I appreciate you. You taught me how to do a rope climb. Never climbed rope, right? And when I was in this race, I dissolved my fear in real time. And when I went like on the rings or on climbing all these different things or doing a rope climb, whatever it was, I was so present. I just listened, and like it was like something else was guiding me to go. Something else just said, breathe, do that, move your arm, move your body like this. And I just listened to that. I didn't fall one time on any of the obstacles. I made it through all of them. And like, how the hell do you do that? I did it because I was able to drop into my heart-centeredness and allow that to guide me. And I had so much fun, but I dissolved the fear, and I was able to not let any fear of getting hurt take over. And I just stayed very present. And that's how I ran a Spartan race. So there's putting it into practical every day, even in a Spartan race. You can learn, and when you're working out, you're working hard, you're an athlete, this work takes you to a whole nother level. And so that was the best part. I was like, that got me, this work got me through a Spartan race.
You know, it's great to hear that even someone who's done the amount of work that you do, that you still experience fear, because it just shows, you know, how on the money and how human you are, that you're still experiencing these negative, or maybe not negative, but, you know, we don't really want to experience fear, but it is part of the human experience. And so you're experiencing still fear in everyday life, but instead of it becoming a trauma, or instead of it holding you back from what you really want to accomplish, you're able to alchemize it right in the second.
Right in the moment.
And so what does that, in that in moment processing of fear, what does that look like for you?
I mean, it's different because when you're really mastered in the work, you can just do it real quick. The fear surprised me. I didn't expect to have any fear or anything. It's not like I was worried about I was surprised. All of a sudden there's fear coming up and I was like, oh my. And I'm like, I had the awareness that I'm really like, I have fear that I'm going to get hurt on this next obstacle. And it happened to like half the obstacles, you know, they would just come up. And there, I just drop in and I grow my light, and I love and embrace the fear while I'm running, like I'm running in the middle of a race. I just embraced it and I grew the power of my light literally through the whole race, to be honest, because one wrong step, I could, you know, twist and there goes my stupid knee. Like I have little tweaks and twinges in it like regularly. So I have to be very careful with it. So yeah, I just drop in energetically and I embrace the fear and I alchemize the fear. Oh, look at, there's fear showing up in my body. I experienced it different because I guess because I was in the middle of a Spartan race where it was like my whole body felt like a little bit of fear. So that was new to me. I don't usually go into fear at all. But there it was, I noticed it. Self-awareness is always the first key that we teach people. So I noticed that was there. And the first time that happened, it kind of startled me. And then I just, well, okay. And I dropped in and I just grew my light and I embraced it and I loved it. Like, oh, look at you here. Of course you're here. If we fall, that would be terrible to get hurt. Like, it's just validating the emotion of why the fear is there. And then I just alchemized it. And what I noticed is literally the first time it may have taken a minute. And then after that, when it would pop up just a little bit, I'm like, oh, there you are again. And then I would just grow my light and embrace the fear. And seconds, it just gone almost immediately, as fast as it came. As long as I was dropped in, it just disappeared.
And of course, you've been practicing this for a long time. So for you, it's very easy to drop into the space and to connect to your power. But for anyone listening, don't expect to be able to go run a Spartan tomorrow and do this, because this is a skill which has taken a long time to develop. So, and for me, if I'm doing anything, I actually have to physically stop, close my eyes and drop in. And that's obviously I'm not at your level yet. I'm not at the level where I can be doing loads of things all at once and still alchemizing. I have to stop, really go in. But I've noticed even in myself, like the time it takes since I started this 6 months ago has got dramatically smaller. Like it's way quicker now where I can drop in and start doing the work. And I can't wait for the day when, you know, I'm like running a Spartan and I'm actively just healing. But, that's really cool.
Well, it's really interesting because I don't know if it's what's going on with the moon or something, but I feel like a lot of old fears have been arising in me that I thought that was gone a long time ago. And the fear that's arising is every time I'm about to have an ego death, it's like this anxiety. And what I realized is, well, now I have the tools, but the mental programs, when you let them run, the fear just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And learning how to alchemize that and learning to drop in as this fear, which to me ate me alive before, recognizing it and seeing it and being like, oh no, you're not eating me today. I know how to turn you into love, has been like saved my life the past few days, because I was slipping and then I caught myself and I was like, we're not doing this. And so I can relate to this fear that comes out of nowhere. And then you're like, whoa, I didn't know you were still around. And now here's what we can do. So this work is just, it's really next level. I mean, me and Danny talk about this all the time, but you cannot find this work. I think that's why we had to find you to find this work. Because I mean, I was flailing, just like drowning. I'm like, someone please like help me out of this water. And you came in and you were like, you can help yourself. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I got myself out of the water. But I really, what I think was for me, as someone that I look up to you as like my teacher and my mentor and all these things, I loved that you did this race because yes, it made you look so human, but you had fun too. And I think the caption really got me when you wrote on your Instagram about how like being a spiritual leader, like it's not like you're kumbayaing like in meditation for 30 hours, you know, a week and a day or whatever, but you go out there and you have fun, you have these experiences. So can you talk a little bit about that, about marrying the human experience with the fact that you are a spiritual leader?
Yeah, it's important because we are a divine soul having a human experience. And the truth is, the more divine we become in our human experience, the more our soul guides us, if that makes sense. Like the more you allow your soul to guide you, that means it enhances your human experience. It doesn't mean you don't have fun anymore. It doesn't mean you lose your humanness. That's what a lot of people think, that you're suddenly not human anymore. No, you're an evolved human, and learning what that means. So it doesn't mean you're not going to have you can't do a Spartan race because that's what you want to spend your time doing. Like you can have a blast, and actually it is more the feeling that I got from that, even though I'm not, I'm not in competition or anything. It's not what I do for a living. So I'm not competing in athletics. It's not my career, but I was very competitive with things. I played college played college soccer. So I was an athlete my whole life. I know what competition is. I was very competitive, but I've never had an experience where I felt this much presence, divinity, and divine joy while I was competing in something. Like if you can't use your divinity to enhance your everyday moments, you're getting it wrong. You're not on the authentic awakening path. You're not, like, you're missing it. If you can't, be on the phone with customer service without 100% flipping out because you can't, you're missing it. That's supposed to enhance your life. Your divinity evolving in a spiritual way is supposed to allow you to have peace even when you're trapped on chat or customer service something for 45 minutes at a time. That's the whole point of becoming more divine, that you're not flipping out and getting triggered because you're on hold forever. And also to make the things you do participate in more joyous in a divine way. It enhances what you're here to experience as a human. That's what authentic awakening actually does for you.
My most divine moments I've had in my life have always been doing the most mundane, simplest tasks. When you're super present, and you're just looking around and like, wow, look at life. Look at the interconnectedness. Look at all of this. Isn't this wonderful? And obviously, for me, it never lasts a long time. But I have those small moments. And in those moments, I feel truly divine, but also truly human. I'm doing something like riding my bicycle down. I had one a couple of days ago, just riding my bike down. And I'm just going to this park, like, look at this thing we call life. And it's always the small, for me, the small human things, and do all this spiritual work, right? But it's really, it's the small human stuff, which for me, really, that's where you see the magic.
Yeah. Love it.
For someone out who's listening to this right now and who wants to get onto the level that you're at, Rachel, and can you talk about, because I think a lot of people think that healing is just like a one hit wonder, like I healed once, I'm good for like X amount of months. And it's like, no, this is a practice. This is every day. This is all day, every day, every time you get triggered, every time something irritates you, every time, whatever. Can you talk a little bit about, the kind of dedication and time and energy, you need to put into yourself to really achieve this kind of level of healing and love?
Yeah. I mean, I always say that it requires two main things: willingness and devotion. Willingness and devotion. You have to have the willingness to do whatever it takes, no matter what that is. There's no conditions there. You're not willing if you're not willing to do anything and everything. That's number one. And then you have to have the devotion to do it. You don't do it for, 5 minutes a day. You don't do it for a weekend. You don't do it during the retreat and that's it. Like, no, it becomes who you are. So authentic awakening is a reflection of you becoming what you're learning, integrating it so that it is in your beingness. It's becoming that. And like anything, that is a process and it takes time. You can achieve massive amounts of healing in very short periods of time. There's truth in that. You absolutely can. I see it all the time in the psychic healing sessions that I offer. You absolutely can. To heal absolutely everything in this lifetime you've experienced so far, all of it 100% in 60 minutes, when the divine responsibility that is required for you to see what's in there, that's going to take more to get all of it than one session. Can you get massive amounts? Incredibly. Like miracles happen. But there is also a level of entitlement, arrogance, and ignorance. Those are the three main programs I see: entitlement, arrogance, and ignorance. When somebody shows up and says, put your hands on me, do a little energy healing, and all my shit should just be gone. Really? It should be? You take no responsibility for it then? That's entitlement program. And boy, have we learned that. I shouldn't have to do anything to heal myself. Really? How mature are you? The first way of oneness is divine responsibility. That's number 1 out of 20 ways of universal ways of oneness. The first one is divine responsibility. You have to learn to take responsibility for yourself, because here's the truth. If you don't take the time to learn the processes, to actually go in yourself, see what programs are in there, see the core wounds that are actually there, creating your mental programs, your emotional programs. If you don't take the time, you don't have the willingness and the devotion to go in, see what it is, take responsibility for it, love it, process it, alchemize it permanently. If you're not willing to do that, why do you deserve to be healed? How responsible, how mature are you? Why do you deserve if you're not willing to do the work? That's number 1. And number 2, if you're not willing to do that, then if you have the most powerful healer in front of you, because I spent years not understanding why there are people that I've done complete healings on. They've experienced the miracle. Like suddenly they can walk again. And then later on, they re-manifest the fact that they can't walk. And it blew my mind. I don't understand. And that's because you weren't willing to do the work to see why you manifested that to begin with. Why is that your reality to begin with? What unhealed stuff, what stuff is in your blind spot that you need to see, bring to the surface, process, alchemize, take responsibility for? And if you're not willing to learn about your shadow self, your ugly aspects, all you're going to do, because they're still a part of who you are, they are just going to recreate and remanifest the very things that you got healed from to begin with. It's going to come back. Your cancer's going to come back. It's going to come back. Why? You didn't do what it took to learn why that was created to begin with. That's why.
Right.
If you don't take that responsibility and you're not willing and devoted, what do you expect is going to happen? You're not a little irresponsible child. Take responsibility for your well-being and what is being created in your reality. That's what a divine being does.
So in these examples, you're saying basically that the energy which originally created whatever it is that we're seeing, whether it's you can't walk, the cancer, that's not being dissolved. That's not being healed at that level. So of course, it's being healed. It's being healed. But you yourself are a divine creator being. If the mental programs, emotional programs are still there that created that cancer, for example, if those programs are still there, well, you get a clean slate. It might take you 10 more years to recreate cancer in your body, but you're going to recreate it again because you created it to begin with. So if you're not healing your programs, if you're not healing your shadow self, the same energy that you were before is still there. But, I healed and cleared out this one part for you.
You have a clean slate, except you're still you. You take you with you wherever you go. So if you're not learning about yourself, why, how you created that to begin with, if you're not in there healing the old traumas, the terrible things that may have happened to you when you were younger, which is why you're harboring all of this anger and trauma, if you're not doing that part as a divine creator being, you're just going to recreate, because you're the same exact vibrational frequency that created that shit to begin with. That's why alchemy is required, to go into the energies themselves and alchemize the energetic program, or programs plural, that created that thing. That's the difference.
I've listened to Zach Bush talk about what he does with cancer patients that he has come see him, and he says that in his consultation he doesn't even talk about cancer. He will go in, and it's all kind of what he starts with is where you're at, and I think more of like a mindset, beliefs, spiritual, like let's get you back in touch with yourself and nature. And then obviously the byproduct of that down the road is the fact that you can heal from this. But yeah, that was interesting to hear it from your perspective, because that really aligns with what he was saying.
That's also probably it's very triggering for people at home, because they can't really grasp what is being really said right now, which is energy, period.
Yeah. It all boils down to energetics. And that's part of what we teach at Masters of Self University is energetics. And what that means for your mental programs, emotional programs, inner child wounds, they are all energetic aspects of you that just need to be transformed into a different frequency. When you learn that you can do that for yourself with the guidance of our professionals here, we don't just heal you, we teach you how to do it for yourself. We do both. We enhance the healing. We heal you, but we teach you how to do it for yourself. And there's a reason for that. Something else might happen 10 years from now is very devastating. Look, that's life. How do you then not create massive wounds and traumas and programs and disease in your body 10 years from now? No, because you have the power of your divinity, and you learn how to connect to it, and you learn how to heal yourself in real time when something new comes up, whether it's some stupid little fear in a Spartan race that's no wound there, but there is a fear that came in, whether it's just something simple or whether it's something massive or devastating. You go in and you learn to alchemize it in real time. So that then turns into only a temporary experience, not a lifetime of wounds to heal.
I think, me and Danny, well, Danny's officially a certified coach now, but, and I'm still in training, but I think that Danny and I and all the other coaches have experienced psychic healings from you. And if you think like, Rachel's going to go in there, she's going to do what she's got to do, but you cannot rely on Rachel, because the thing of what you teach us the most is you do it yourself. I'm not here to coddle you, I'm not here to baby you. And I think that's been where the work has really been profound for us, because we realize, yes, you go in there and you scrape a little bit out, but then the rest of the job is for us. And I think that's where we really start evolving and growing, of understanding that, like, yes, you have the power to do that, but also we do as well. And that's the thing that really drew me into MSU and you, was like, you weren't trying to be this like guru, like I know everything and like I'm a leader and like look at me. And it was like, no, let me remind you of the things that you already know. I'm just here to help guide you back into that. And I think that's so important for the spiritual path and the healing path, because people get caught up in the leaders and the teachers. And then the next thing you know, it's like this very codependent relationship, enabling all these things. But it's been so powerful to remember that it's within us.
Yeah. And that's the right spiritual teacher will always guide you back to yourself. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that, I'm not in it. Like I always say this, we're in different grades. It doesn't make us an equal. That's all. Right. You're not equal or inferior in second grade to your teacher. Your teacher is just farther along, which is why she or he is there to teach you in second grade. That's it. So it's I think we've learned to misconstrue our relationships with true spiritual leaders. And part of the problem is because everybody calls themselves something nowadays, even if they're not qualified. Let's get real. And so the difference is, you know, if somebody isn't educated to be a second grade teacher and they didn't have the training, they shouldn't be teaching you, right? This is no different. So we have to be very careful and selective who we listen to and who we learn from. It shouldn't just be any average person. The average doesn't mean they're inferior. So don't misunderstand the teaching. But you have to be very careful who you learn from. That's number one. A true, authentic spiritual teacher gives you the tools, the skills, the wisdom, because they already have it. They walk the talk. They've done it for themselves. And in that, they always also simultaneously empower you and guide you back to yourself. It's always part of it, because we are all divine beings. We are one, period. And so the more wisdom and power you gain as like a spiritual leader and a psychic healer, that means the more power you have to uplift everybody else. As I rise, you rise, we all rise together, because you can achieve this and more. Just step on the path willingly with devotion and learn how to get there. Follow me, I'll show you the way, but you become the way yourself. That's the difference.
This whole topic is about bringing spirituality into everyday life. And what I want to ask you is, how do you lead a semi-normal life with everything that you do and everything that you handle? Because I can't even imagine what it's like to be in your position and to be on this soul mission. And so how do you find ways to really be grounded in what you're doing here?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is a very good question. It is not easy. It is not easy path. I would be lying if I told you that it was simple. It is not. It is the opposite. It's why I always tell people this is warrior's work. The more power you have, the more divine responsibility you have. And so you need to be powerful enough to accept more and more responsibility in every aspect of your life. The more you evolve, that's part of the path. That's why you are becoming a warrior in this work. So to be as sensitive as I am, to have the psychic abilities that I have, it is not easy to just do everyday life for me. It's not. It's difficult to be out in public. The way that it affects my energies, doing everyday normal things, the way it impacts me, I have to be very aware, and I have to actually strategically plan out doing things. Because if I don't, when I'm busy, and I have a lot of clients and I have a lot of psychic healing sessions scheduled, for example, if I would spend, Sunday out with friends all day and socializing, and then have a next day of like 3 psychic healing sessions and teaching class and coaching, there's no way. I wouldn't be recovered. I can't do that. I don't have the luxury to do that. So, if I'm asked to do something, well, what night is it? What day is it? And what does that require? I'm thinking, what does that require? I always have to calculate, what is that going to do to my energies? And then how long that's going to take to recover from that energetically. And that is then my yes or no to do that. And a lot of times I have to say no to a lot of things, because I'm so busy right now that I don't have enough recovery time energetically. So it's not an easy path.
Is that something that you just developed and trial and error over the years? Because I feel like I'm about to start going through this. The more and more I realize how sensitive I am.
Yep.
And the more I've realized I really need to focus on keeping my energy grounded and pure. And I can't overextend myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to practice self-love. So overextending, like, that's not self-love. So it's beautiful that you said that. So yeah, I had to learn how to practice what self-love really meant. And that meant saying no to things.
Right.
Just because there's no way I have enough time for my energies to recover. So the answer is no. And if anybody takes that personally, that's their programs, not mine. I'm practicing self-love. I'm here to heal the world, to heal people in the world. You can't disregard how you're impacted by it. So, you have to balance, and it takes practice.
So you speak of the soul mission, which I actually feel like I'm somewhat part of now as I'm under the umbrella of MSU. When did you first connect to this soul mission, and like how did it come into your awareness?
So that's not the easiest question to answer. It was a kind of a gradual process. It was a gradual process for me that it was very, very psychic as a child, but didn't understand it. I had to evolve into understanding my abilities and what that meant. And I only wanted to work with animals. I didn't want to have anything to do with people. And so the funniest thing is some of the biggest leaders in work like this, some of the biggest spiritual leaders, like, it's funny, I've heard them say the same thing. I didn't want to do this. Like, I did not set out to do this. It's not something you set out to do. Trust me when I tell you, it's something that you're guided to do. So after my master's degree in occupational therapy, I first specialized working with premature infants and babies in their first year of life. And that I loved working with my babies. And I went on after that to specialize in mental, emotional, behavioral health. And let me tell you, the universe was like, okay, you did this for the time you're supposed to do this, get out. And I was like, no, you've got to be kidding me. I don't want to not do no. And I really fought and resisted, and I kicked and screamed. I just tantrumed with the universe. You can't not let me work with baby. Like, I'm magical with this work. I was so psychic and intuitive. I could see things happening that I would tell the parents to take their child back to their physician to check this, that, and the other, because you're missing it. It's being missed. What's going on here? And I was so incredibly psychic. I could just see things. And it was like, good, you have practice now with hands-on of what you can do. This is basically my divine guidance. So you learned, you practiced, you honed the skill. Time to get out. And I was like, get out to do what? I was angry. And it forced me to then specialize in different areas and then work with adults. I was like, I don't want to work with adults. I want my goddamn babies. I love my babies. And long story short, fast forward, I mean, this was years of then realizing, working in Western medicine, when they kept telling me sick people don't heal. We need, or sick people, we need sick people to pay us. That's how we make our money. Sick people don't make us, healthy people don't make us money. Sick people make us money. And when I kept being told that, I was like, I get it now. I'm supposed to create something new and get out, because this lacks integrity. I'm not in alignment with any of this, keeping people sick so we keep making money. With that, it led me on a journey of, well, what do you want me to do? And it was that when I asked that question, well, okay, then what do you want me to do? It was almost like, oh, finally, just open yourself up to be a vessel instead of doing what you think you're here to do. And I learned that, I was acting like a child before. I thought I was going to do what I wanted to do. And that was a level of spiritual maturity that I had to gain where, I'm here to be guided and receive and be a vessel for divinity. Got it. Sorry, my bad. That took me a bit of time to realize that. Sorry, I was a little immature child. And then it was, from then forward, it was just, okay, what do you want me to do? And everything I do in my life is guide. It's, what do you want me to do? And that's what I do.
That really segues nicely into the topic that we were talking about today on okay, well, how can I take the spirituality and these concepts and apply it to my everyday life? And I found the more that I go against the grain of what the great universe wants for me, the more difficult and uneaseful my life is. Things have more friction, they're just more difficult. And the more that I'm able to step into alignment of what I believe my soul path is supposed to be, everything becomes a lot more easeful, and my human experience is much more enjoyable.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. I spent the majority of my life in that friction of being like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And they were like, no, no, no. And it wasn't until I pivoted and had an ego death in that I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And then you surrender because you realize it's bigger than you, and it's the work you're here to do is so much more powerful.
Yes.
there must be loads amount of self-sacrifice on your part.
Yeah.
How do you navigate it?
By staying in my heart. By staying in my heart. Because there are moments where it's like, oh, really? Like I said, warriors work. It is not an easy path. It is not an easy path to be a spiritual leader and a psychic healer to the degree that I can heal. It is, and I don't say that with like, oh, poor me. It's not coming from that. It's just the truth is, it is not easy. So it's wonderful and it's magnificent and it's beautiful. And I'm here to complete my soul mission. And my soul sings with blissful joy when other people heal because of this work, because it means there's more light to shine on the planet. I mean, it's just the most joyous thing to see someone else get it and heal and evolve. I'm so happy to see that. But yeah, it's a tremendous amount of sacrifice. And sometimes there are some days where it's harder than others to have to always sacrifice and be the one to sacrifice in order to help others. But it's part of the journey. It's part of the requirement. And so you drop in and you love yourself through that on the times when you're overexhausted or it feels like, man, I chose a rough life. You just love yourself through it. Be the divinity that you're teaching other people to be by loving and nurturing yourself through it. That's how I navigate it, is I love and nurture myself through it.
You know, Danny, I'm sure you can speak on this, but I've witnessed you heal many people in class, and you carry the same energy from when we begin class till when we end class after you've done it all. Right, Danny, can you speak on that? Like, she maintains this strength and power throughout the whole thing. When if I was you, I'd be so drained. I'd be like on the floor, like drooling. It'll be a whole thing. But you maintain this power and strength, which I think speaks volumes of you. And then I've seen you get emotional through these healings. Like I could feel the authenticity of what this work means to you. And I think that's what makes you stand out as a leader, is because you feel us as we move through everything.
Yeah. I feel everything.
Yeah.
In like it's mine, everything, all the trauma, all the pain, I feel it. And I had to, so when I will say this, because it goes back to a question you asked earlier, when I was still in the healthcare industry and I had patients and I would feel that everything inside of them, like I would know somebody in front of me, oh my God, you're so dehydrated. You never drink water. You need to drink water, right? Like I would feel it. I would suddenly be so dehydrated. I would feel like I was going to faint. And I knew because the person in front of me was that. So I feel everything physically, emotionally, you name it. The pain in my body is I think there's a kidney you're going to have a kidney problem soon. Like, do you feel that in your body? No, you're going to feel it. Go to the doctor. And then there's a kidney, next thing you know, there's a kidney. They are in pain and they have a kidney stone. Because of that, I had to learn working in the healthcare industry how to, I use the word master the work. I had to know that was a gift I had to see what was going on with somebody so I can heal them at the deepest level. But that requires mastery of the work to not take on the stuff and be a crying, blubbering idiot. Because when you feel somebody's emotional pain from some of these horrific traumas that people have been through, it isn't easy to stand in your power. It's easy to just start crying and losing yourself in it. Instead of losing myself in it, if I ever cry now, which I do sometimes, it's with nothing but love and compassion. It's not that I can't handle the work. And when I first realized the degree of my healing abilities and my psychic abilities, I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to feel people's pain to this degree and function? But it's just something you learn. But I had to master that because you wouldn't be able to heal people if you get lost in their stuff, but you have to feel their stuff to heal at this level. So it's balance, and it takes experience and time, to master it.
I think for us as coaches too, we have to learn that, because we're going to be doing a lot of this work too, to not attach and like carry that home. And so, you've taught us to open, clear, and detach, which I think is going to really be our superpower as we go into this coaching thing, because especially as highly sensitive people and as empaths and everything, I mean, we feel everything.
Yeah.
And so it's important for us to really learn that from you and to protect ourselves from all these energies that can really destroy us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's great that like in Peru last year, I connected with the spirit of Mapacho, a sacred tobacco they use in Peru, and it's all about energetic clearing and cleansing, and it's great. I still use it occasionally, but since starting your work, it's like, oh yeah, you can do the same thing just without the pipe.
Yeah.
You don't need the tobacco.
No.
You can just go in and do it. Yeah, you can use it if you want to use it, but you don't need it at all. You can just go in and do that work yourself.
Exactly. You drop in and you learn what it means in an energetic definition of growing your light. And the more powerfully you grow your light, nothing attaches, nothing stays. It's clearing in the moment. It's alchemizing in the moment. And so that's the power that you have when you're really connected to your divine self, and when you allow your soul to integrate more and more, which is what our coaching programs do. It allows your soul to integrate more and more, you know, so yeah, but it takes willingness and devotion and practice.
Yes. Yes. Now that we're rounding out the episode, is there anything you want to plug? We have so many amazing events. We have programs launching. All coaches are all around MSU. They're ready for clients. Anything you want to plug, Rachel?
I just think go to the website, mastersofselfuniversity.com. You can see it below on your screen, and get a free consultation from our coaches. Dive in, learn more details, ask questions about what it means to be in a 3-month coaching program with us. Become a monthly member. There's so many things that we have to help you transform in the deepest levels. Take advantage of them. We have them for a reason. Yes. So live psychic healing event that we have coming up in May. That I don't know when this is going to air, but hopefully that you can sign up for that May 21st. Go to the website and check out what we have to offer, because you will do nothing. You have nothing to lose other than your pain, your traumas, and your shadow self. That's what you have to lose.
Seriously.
Good things to lose.
Yeah, things to lose. It's good things to lose. Rachel, always such an honor to have you here with us on this podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Danny, thanks for co-hosting with me. And for everyone at home, share the episode, subscribe, leave us a rating. And until next time, we will see you guys then. Bye.
Bye, everybody.